Welcome to my last and final session for AMPscript Enablement. Today I'm going to discuss the API method using AMPscript. Basically, I had actually uh, discussed a lot of other functions uh, till my session from 1 to 8 sessions. This is the ninth session. So in the ninth session, I want to just complete this API method. Today we had this session which was more than 4.5 hours, and I don't have that energy to edit and upload to YouTube because I can't edit 4 hour long session. And we ran into a lot of issues because of a lot of things that happened. And I would humbly say, Sumit, he helped me a lot with troubleshooting. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into this API method and explain how we are going to build a function. I'm going to go one by one and explain each function in very depth. And let's see at the end of the session. It will not take much of a time because I have already prepared the code. We don't have to go deep dive or troubleshooting everything. So my first object here. So if you go to marketing cloud objects, let me pen this. So if you type objects in marketing cloud, so you'll get all these objects here. So the first object that what I'm trying to do is the retrieve request. So this is the so this one is the retrieve request API method which I'm going to utilize here. And I can see there are a lot of properties here. And we can do, if you go to my blog, I have given a lot of examples with SOAP API using SSJs. I didn't implemented this with AMPscript. I'm going to add with AMPscript as well. Whatever I'm doing, I'll add it here as well to this other articles that I'll be discussing. But yeah, with WS proxy SOAP API using SSJs, I have a number of articles here where you can go through and have a look into it. Today, the similar object of SOAP API using AMPscript, I'll try to decode few things. So first one is the retrieve. For the retrieve, what I'm going to do is use the object type, and the object type I'm going to use is not the email or the list, but the subscriber. Going to use this properties object as well. The first one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to retrieve the subscriber. Here, let me first segregate this code. The first object that I created using create object method is the retrieve request. Let's go back to here. So what it says, create option, not the create option, create object. So returns a new marketing cloud web API object, and it has only one ordinal that is required, which is the API object that I want to retrieve in the text form. So this is the retrieve request, and the object that I showed you was this one. And I have a set object property that is for this retrieve request is the object type, and this is the subscriber. This one, object type, subscriber, and the other one is the properties, which is an array of property definitions. I have used properties as email address. What I did was I added a simple filter with email address equals to b2rasasi@gmail.com, and I added this filter to this retrieve object, and then I invoke the retrieve object. So let's go and create the code for AMPscript. So I'm selecting JavaScript. I can do through JSON as well, but here today I'm just going to show you with JavaScript. So what I always usually do is use try and catch block. It will help me if any exception occurs to debug and troubleshoot. This helps me a lot. This code, I'll explain this one as well. I'll explain these two lines later. This was the AMPscript code that I just explained was this one, and this code Here, let's say this publish. And before this, let me validate here. So I have my unsubscribed. Okay, my email address is unsubscribed. So, but I have that in the unsubscriber. Let me run this. Okay, it does not give me any value. Let's see what I've done. Status code. I don't have any status code. That issue. I copied it from here and I pasted from some other places. So there is no status code. That's fine. With this line, just changing the lower script part. Here, what I had used was this is the retrieve request, and I'm doing the invoke retrieve. And then I used a for loop, and then I'm assigning the email address. And once this email address is assigned using get value, hope it doesn't get lost. Okay. So here in the get value function, I'm adding this. Let me publish this. It's fine. Let me again publish this. Let me copy this. Open a new browser. I have some caching issue that I'm dealing with. Yeah. So you can see, I can say b2.sasi@gmail.com. So if I go back to the code, I had email address. Now let's say if I want to add another property here, I copy this line and paste it here. Let's go to the subscriber and let's catch the subscriber key. Add the subscriber key here, another property here in the for loop, another property. Let's assign another property, this for loop. So I'm looking for subscriber key and let's set the variable as subscribe key. And also let's write here the subscriber key. Subscriber key. Okay, I think all's done. Let's publish this code. Yeah, this will definitely not give you the right result because this is already cached. I have an issue with my browser. Let me try it here. Okay, this is also cached. I'll open it here. Yeah, you see, b2.ssi, b2.ssi. Let's validate this one. So this was the subscriber key, right? b2.ssi and the email address b2.ssi. So it's working fine. Okay. So for the next one, obviously I know there will be a caching issue. But before that, let's go to the other part. So we did the retrieve object. Now the next one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a subscriber. Basically, what I'm going to do is invoke the update on the subscriber. Here, I have used active. If you see, my subscriber is unsubscribed. You can see this, right? So the same methodology, I'm just copy pasting this code, right? Control V. So here, the subscriber, I'm assigning this tree property, that is the email address, subscriber key, and the status as active, passing the client ID, and I'm doing the update option, that is update in app, because in Marketing Cloud it does not allow just to update. Let me save this first. Let's go back first, maybe come back here. So what I've done here, I have three properties here with email address, subscriber key, and status. Status is active. I passed the client ID, and the update option is update in add. As I said, Marketing Cloud does not allow us to do add. We have to always do add and update. So the property name will be star, and I'm saving this option and invoking the invoke update. Let's save this. Hope there is no caching issue, right? So I have an error because this MID does not exist. So here I had added this MID. That's why there's an issue. So I publish this once again. So it will show the old one. Let's open a new browser and hopefully this will work fine. Yeah. So this is I hope this is updated. If I print it, let's see if I print it or not. No. Okay, this is the only the status. So that is still cached. I don't know how to clean the cache. Yeah, this is still, see, the old one. If it allows me in the new browser, this also cached. So while this cache get cleaned, let me go back and try to explain what is happening here. Okay. So first part is I have this try catch block, as I always prefer to add it. And here I'm creating this create object. I use the create object for subscriber, and I'm adding these properties. If you want to see the properties for subscribers, go to subscriber object, right? And yeah, required attributes. So what I required, they're saying all subscriber objects require a minimum value of email address. For SMS subscriber, you must include a subscriber key. Email they don't require, but for SMS subscribers, you require to add a subscriber key. For update and delete call, you must use the email subscriber key and the ID or the ID, right? Subscriber key or the subscriber ID. In addition, you are required by your account or any other attributes that are required by account. All subscriber object in enterprise contains a value of valid on your behalf. If you have in the child business unit, maybe you have to pass the child business unit ID as well, and then review the error messages if that is necessary. And you have all the objects like address, client, email address, their preferences, local. So you have the status as well. I'm basically updating the status. Let's see if the caching is cleaned or not. Let me try this. No. What should I do? Copy this. I have made this active, right? So this is currently inactive. And see, now this is active. Okay. If you want to validate, say I want to mark it as held. Okay. I have to see some on of the browser, or if this browser has been cleaned up. No, see, this is still showing the old one. Okay, this thing, okay. So it is updated. Let's see here. See, this is active. Okay. Yeah. So you see now, this is held. So this second function is also working fine. And for today, for the last is the automation. Okay. So what I'm doing is similar to the first example, I'm doing a retrieve request and I'm trying to retrieve the automation. And here, what I'm doing is counting the row count of that number of automations where the automations are in the pause status. So I've added a simple filter saying that this is in pause state. Let's try this, copy this. I know there is a caching that is happening. Here, this is automation, right? So if I will not, you will see here, this is now remove the caching, and now this is currently showing as the subscriber one, because here I'm not sending, you see, I'm writing row count, overall status, and request ID, not the OK, not the overall status. It will give the request ID as well. So let me save this. Yeah, this is still the status. This is cached. Hope some browser. I have to validate in which browser this is going to work. This is also cached. Let me see. Try to open this with lock. Okay. While this gets cached, let me explain you this invoke request function. So if I've opened the invoke request, no, okay. Invoke request, yeah. So in the invoke request, we have three parameters that we can pass into this function. One is the API object that we can pass, and the other two are the variables which are optional. And the first one gives you the overall status like OK or error out, and the second variable is the request ID. This is also optional, and if they have given some example, but they haven't passed the optional field. I have passed this as well. If you see this invoke retrieve, I have said retrieve object. That was the retrieve request and the overall status and the request ID. Hopefully, let's see if this is passed. No. Let's see what can be done. What we can explain till then is, let's see what we have. So we had this create object, invoke create. We could have used invoke create and create the trigger send, right? So this trigger send is already been explained here. I have already have this uh, in my AMPscript block. So the first one is the trigger send. You can reference this code here and try to execute this object that we have already doing in all the functions to create the subscriber key, subscriber and all this here. This one, create object. In every here also we have to turn this create object. Here also you have use create object. Here with simple filter part also create object. And right here also we have create object. So that we are using everywhere. We didn't do this, but yeah. So invoke create is already there, as I said here. So where is this? Invoke create object. Yeah, invoke create. So this is already implemented here. Um, we didn't do the delete invoke. Okay. Now we did the perform. We did the retrieve, invoke retrieve, and invoke update. This one was invoke update. This one where we were changing the status of the subscriber key, and this one is the invoke request retrieve. Sorry, invoke retrieve. So this is what we are doing. I'm waiting for my browser caching be cleaned up. Let me see. Let's try some of the browser. So see this row count one status, okay, and the retrieve request. So if you want to see here, I had printed 3 rows. This was one, write row count, write the overall status, and the request ID, right? So I think we are done with all these 3 different functions. Thank you all for being patient and listening to this session. We'll see you on 2023 with a new session.